watching closely.
What's the secret, Max?
You just gotta find something you love to do and then do it for the rest of your life.
I don't want to be a product of my environment. I want my environment to be a product of me.
Hello, and welcome to The Establishing Shot, a podcast where we do deep dives into directors and their filmographies. I am your host, Eli Price, and we are here on episode 83 of the podcast today. We are coming off of a discussion of Minority Report, Spielberg's first movie with Tom Cruise. And so I have my guest from that episode returning this week, Andrew Fossier, joining me to do a Tom Cruise performances draft.
Hello, happy to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited about this. It was kind of like the first thing I thought of was like a draft idea whenever I was like, maybe we should, what draft could we do that goes along with Minority Report? And I was like, oh yeah, Tom Cruise. We got to do the Tom Cruise performances draft. So, Andrew thankfully said yes to that idea, and here we are. So, yeah, we're gonna in a minute we are gonna jump into our draft, which is, if you've never listened to a draft episode, it's basically, you choose your favorites. I always describe it as choosing your dodgeball team in the schoolyard. You got to get the best team so that you can win, but also you might end up with maybe one or two on your team that aren't the best players but are your favorites because they're your best friend, and so so we'll take turns, and we're drafting performances of Tom Cruise and not the movie as a whole. So a lot of times those correlate, like the quality of the performance will correlate with the quality of the movie, but not always. So there could be like a bad movie where Tom Cruise has a great performance in it. It's possible. So we'll see. But let's do that in a minute. I thought it would be interesting to just like think about Tom Cruise as a performer and movie star for a minute. So his career started back in the 80s. His first real like significant role was in the movie Taps in 1981, which I have not seen. His breakout was really Risky Business in 1983. You have the iconic sliding in the socks and underwear, and
I haven't seen that movie, but I've seen that scene.
Right. Same. I guess we're giving away that we're not.
Yeah, we're narrowing it down. Okay.
But well, that's good. A neutral there with Risky Business. But yeah, I mean, so that's kind of his breakout, and then like Top Gun, I feel like really solidifies him as like a star. I don't know if you've seen the movie Legend or planning on taking it, but it's a weird, not great movie. But Top Gun really like solidifies Tom Cruise, I think. And he has an interesting career. He really like, I don't know what it's the question. I think the question that always comes up when you think about Tom Cruise is Tom Cruise a really great actor, or is he just a really great top-notch movie star? And I think those are two different things. But I don't know. What do you have any thoughts on Tom Cruise and his career?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have I haven't seen all of his movies, obviously.
Right.
But I would say definitely is someone I would categorize as a top tier movie star, just in the sense of the spectacle that he brings to the roles. I don't know that he has an incredible amount of depth. I don't mean that as an insult. That's just really based on what I've seen him in.
Yeah.
I know his earlier stuff is not very like his most recent and later stuff. most newest stuff. There we go.
Yeah.
Um, but when I think movie star, I think Tom Cruise. He's in the top, probably top 3. I don't even know. I don't rank movie stars really often, but he's up there.
Yeah, it's interesting, like, because I do think in some of his movies he shows some range in his acting. But for the most part, he's kind of like the same steady, timeless kind of guy. He's cool.
Yeah.
He's like, he's not necessarily like fashionable. It's not like cool in that way. It's just more of like the gravitas of the personality he brings to his characters is just kind of like cool and enticing, I guess.
Yeah.
It's not like George Clooney kind of cool where it's like, oh, he's so like fashionable and like, you know, just, you know, I don't know, like he doesn't bring that sort of like movie star quality. It's kind of this different, he really like, I think he really like plays into this more now, but he's kind of like, he kind of rides the line of feeling like an everyman, but also like doing things that not everyone can do in his movies, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean.
Like even you just think of like Top Gun and Top Gun Maverick. He's like, he feels just like a normal dude, but also like he's the best pilot in the world, you know? So
yeah.
But like anytime he's in the plane, you're like, this dude's a hero. He's incredible. But then like when he's out of the plane, it's like, oh, he's, you know, he's kind of just like me. He's overcompensating a little bit.
Yeah.
He's dealing, you know, he's got his like relational issues. He's, you know, he's in with, you know, it's kind of like, it's interesting, I think, the kind of line he rides with that. But man, really like he's kind of like the defining actor for the 80s and 90s. He's just like, he's like the movie star for that era, I think, of movies. And it's interesting that you're more familiar with like his last 2 decades of stuff because like really like I feel like he's not a draw like he used to be. He is for a certain, you know, age bracket, obviously, that grew up with his movies. But it's not like I have to go see. For one thing, he doesn't make a ton of movies anymore. He's pretty selective. He sticks with his personal little projects. But also, it's not like I have to go see the new Tom Cruise movie whenever something comes out. In fact, like here recently, it's like I have to go see the new Mission Impossible movie. And of course, Tom Cruise is like synonymous with that at this point. But also with Top Gun Maverick, it wasn't like, oh, I have to see the new Tom Cruise movie. It's I have to see the new Tom Cruise as Maverick, returning as Maverick movie.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's an interesting wrinkle in his most recent kind of run. But man, he really hasn't been. So like, just looking, you know, Dead Reckoning Part 1 came out in 2023. And before that, he had Maverick and then Fallout. And you have to go back to 2017 before there's a non-Mission Impossible or Top Gun Maverick movie. That was American Made by Doug Liman. So, yeah. And not a very successful movie either.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's really been like going hard on the Mission Impossible movies every few years, all the way stretching back to 96 with the first one. And yeah, that's been like his steady tried and true thing for a while. I mean, he is basically like Ethan Hunt now. Like it's kind of it kind of begs the question is like, okay, so Dead Reckoning Part 2 really is his last Mission Impossible movie. Like, what is he going to do next?
Wow.
Because that's been like the defining part of his career for the past 2 decades.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's in his 60s now. So you kind of wonder, okay, is he going to redefine his career and maybe delve into trying to direct something, or is he going to kind of play into the older guy that takes really, really great supporting roles and gets, supporting actor nominations
Yeah.
for Oscars? There's a lot of different directions his career can go, but I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see. He only has 3 Oscar nominations.
Oh, that's surprising.
He's never won an Oscar.
Wow.
He was nominated for lead actor for Born on the 4th of July and for Jerry Maguire, and then for supporting actor with Magnolia. He wasn't nominated for Rain Man. He's I don't know. He has an interesting career, but I do think, like, if you had to boil it down, he is the, like, penultimate movie star.
I think so too.
You don't, when I go to see a Tom Cruise movie, I'm not like expecting this depth of acting and emotion and all that. Like, you get some of that stuff with Tom Cruise, but that's not why I go see a Tom Cruise movie, if that makes sense. And that's okay.
Yeah.
I think that's a good thing. If all actors were that, and you never got someone that was just, I want to go see what he's up to and what crazy thing he does. Like, you need those guys.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I think it's we kind of talked about this in the last episode, but yeah, he's just so incredibly talented in those things, and willing to take the risk. And the biggest thing is he's not putting someone else at risk. He's taking the risk himself.
Yeah.
So that's also really interesting.
And it's like a respectable thing. It's kind of become a gimmick at this point to a certain degree. It's like, oh, Tom Cruise does all his stunts. And that it's a gimmick, but also, like, it's, even knowing that, it's still, like, very respectable, as just an actor and a person, like, that wants to hone his craft and do everything himself and do everything as real as possible. It's just very respectable. Even if, like, I don't know a ton about his personal life, or like what kind of person he is outside of the movies, but just as an actor and someone that's just honing his craft and trying to make a certain kind of movie, very respectable. Like, today. I mean, to be 60, years old and doing the things he's doing in these Mission Impossible movies is just, it really is incredible. It's undeniably incredible. So, and I mean, you have safety gear on and you're attached and your cables, but it's not stuff most of us would do,
No, for sure.
Even knowing that we're perfectly safe, and true. The reality is, even with all the safety stuff they have in place, it's still not 100% safe. But yeah, let's transition and jump into the draft. I'm gonna let Andrew have the first pick, because this is technically not his second movie draft. He was with me for the Christmas movie draft, and I'm not sure where we picked for that one, so I'm just gonna default and give you the first pick. But if you come back on for a movie draft, I will take the first pick.
Oh yeah, I figured that was. I'm fine with that, because I am very pleased with my first choice. So I appreciate it.
Lay it on me. What you got?
You know, I feel bad though because I think this was my first pick for spy movies as well.
Oh, let's hear it.
Potentially, that's going to be Mission Impossible Fallout.
Okay,
that is my pick for my first pick.
No,
that is
great pick.
Okay. I know it's not about other actors; it's specifically Tom, right? But
yeah.
It's hard for me to differentiate the movie from his acting, right? It feels so connected. But man, that fight scene in the bathroom.
Oh yeah.
And the Henry Cavill arm reload. Oh, the whole such a good scene.
So why would you pick? So I was thinking about this because I was looking at all the Mission Impossibles. Why would you pick his performance in this one over all the other ones? Like, what is the standout thing for you for Fallout?
I think this is where it gets tricky for me because it has been a sec. I really should have rewatched all of these before this draft. But the thing that's stuck so close with me is all the performances that he did with the action stuff, and the movie itself just stuck with me. It has stuck with me. Like every time I think about it, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's such a good movie.
Yeah.
And so is that explicitly because of his incredible performance? I would say, I think definitely it's up there.
Yeah.
It's my favorite Mission Impossible.
It is mine too.
Yeah. So that's probably, I'm not specifically breaking it down maybe as granular as we were meant to for the draft, but it's my favorite Mission Impossible, and I really liked his performance there, and so that's kind of my weight. Yeah.
I think for me, I would say, because I was kind of wrestling with this and another one, but I think I would have picked this one as like my top Mission Impossible performance, and I think it's because in this one we get some extra stuff about the character kind of fleshed out a little bit more. Than, building off of stuff that's happened in the past movies, building on some extra kind of like backstory to him, a little bit more emotional depth to the character. And then on top of all that, something that's Fallout started kind of wrestling with is the further along you get in the Mission Impossible movies, the more fragile Ethan Hunt gets.
Yeah.
And Fallout feels like the culmination of that. Of course, it like progresses into Dead Reckoning Part 1 and probably 2 as well. But Fallout feels, I don't know, he's in a sense reckoning with his age, and as an agent, but also like metatextually in real life, like how much longer can I do this? Is it worth it? But yeah, I think that plays into why it's probably the best of all of them.
Yeah, and the I know it's directly foiled with, or not foiled, but it's directly related to the physical performances of the other actors in that fight scene. But that bathroom fight scene is just
it's incredible. Yeah,
it's such a good performance in so many ways that it's like it's one of those things where it's like I watch fight scene breakdowns, and it's always in everyone's top. It was just so visceral, and it's a really good scene. And so probably the physical stunts and like what you were saying about the deeper connection with the character, and it's a really good movie, a top tier performance from him as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. I'm glad you took it, because now that frees me up to take some other stuff. Man, first choice is really hard. It's hard because do I want to pick? There's a big performance that I think is really good, and I'm not sure if that's where I want to go first or if I want to take something else. I think so. I'll do this. I rewatched this movie because I hadn't seen it in a long time for this draft. And I remember thinking this movie was good when I watched it in the past, but when I rewatched it this time, I was like, this movie is great. And that's Jerry Maguire. It's just a great movie, and it all just revolves around Tom Cruise. It's like the ultimate.
I haven't seen it.
You haven't seen Jerry
No,
Maguire?
I know a little bit about it.
Yeah.
And knowing about Tom Cruise, but I haven't seen it.
You also forget like how many just great lines the movie has that people say all the time.
Oh yeah.
Like, help me help you, and show me the money, and you complete me, and I don't know. There's I'm forgetting one of them that really stood out. But yeah, it's a great movie. It's just
wow. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what I was thinking with just like, I think I moved it from like a 7 and like a 7 out of 10 or like a 3.5 star to a 4.5 star. Cause I was like, this movie is just great. Is it corny at times? Yes. But it's just so well done. And Cruise is just great in it. Like there's a reason this is one of his Oscar nominations. He shows some emotional range. He's funny. He's energetic. He's dealing with loneliness in the movie. Like there's a kind of this loneliness to the character. This kind of I think part of it too is just this very relatable struggle with how do I open myself up emotionally to somebody else. That is very relatable for just probably like our generation of males.
Yeah.
In America, like how do I emotionally express myself and open myself up to another human like being that I love, Yeah, it's a great movie. Just a really great movie. And him and Cuba Gooding Jr., their chemistry is just phenomenal. They're just they make me laugh and like also tear up. Like I even teared up at one scene with them. Like just great. Just a great movie, a great Tom Cruise performance. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll have to watch it.
Yeah, it's on for the listener, it might not be by the time the episode comes out, but right now it's on Paramount Plus.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Hi. Quick reminder that you, yes, you, can be a huge help to the production of this show. If you visit establishingshotpod.com/donate, you'll find out how to join the Establishing Shot family through some giving tiers starting as low as $5 a month. You heard that right, only $5 a month. And not only will you be helping me keep the show going, but you'll also get some perks yourself, like early and ad-free episodes, bonus episodes, access to a Discord server where we can chat it up about the show and movies in general, and more. Might even let you choose a movie for me to review for the show. Check out that link in the show notes to learn more. Back to the show. Yeah, you're up. What are you going to pick now?
My second pick is going to be Edge of Tomorrow. I kind of have a list of movies, and I haven't actually ranked them, so I'm doing it real time, just going how I feel right now. So, Edge of Tomorrow. Did you see that one?
Yes, I saw this in my small college town theater that had 2 screens. And I remember going and seeing it and loving it, but I haven't seen it since then. So it was hard for me to really know where to put it on the list.
I don't know that it legitimately falls into second, but again, like to me, the interesting thing is the set pieces, because I remember there just being, I mean, it gets kind of funny because it's just repetitive, right?
Yeah,
I don't want
sure.
to spoil too much,
It's
but
Groundhog Day, but like sci-fi version,
yes, but
sci-fi
like yeah,
war version.
and so there's the humor of that and the
Right.
frustration that he expresses all the time with like, okay, I've already got to this point, let me redo this thing. Like, okay, we've had this conversation 20 times, don't do this, and then they do it.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I just remember the depth of that being funny, and then the action is good, and then there's just a good fun story wrapped up in that.
Oh yeah.
And yeah,
I take that back.
fun is the wrong word maybe, but
this came out after I was out of college, so I would not have seen this there. That's what I had thought, but 2014 in the summer I would have been. I definitely saw it in theaters.
yeah, me as well.
Yeah, I remember really liking this movie a lot. Fun premise. You know, I did watch some clips on YouTube earlier today.
Yeah,
But it just wasn't enough for me to gauge like how was the Tom Cruise performance.
yeah,
But yeah, apparently good enough for you to draft it.
yeah.
For your
No, yeah,
second pick.
it stuck with me, and like I said, it's kind of hard for me to actually parse out specifically Tom Cruise's implications on that.
Right.
But yeah, it was also just
It's
interesting alien design as well. I know that's like super specific, but
yeah.
it just wasn't like, oh, the humanoid aliens attacked. It's like these kind of creepy beasts morphing shape things that
The feeling I get from just like my memory and also the clips I watched earlier today is what Cruise probably does well is just like the progression of starting off like in control and important, and you know, but then like getting into the loop situation and the progression of like confusion and being out of control of yourself to like gaining back that control and the gaining back that like Tom Cruise-ness, I guess, like where he's the coolest person in the room and he's the person that's like in control, and it's like it seems like that's kind of like what he does really well in the movie is to lose his Tom Cruise-ness and then to gain it back.
Yeah, not that I don't want to. Yeah, I don't want to spoil too much about it, but basically, yeah, he starts off as like kind of the maggot. Like I don't remember if he was trying to desert or something like that. Basically, not great. He is kind of bad. He gets thrown into this crazy situation, and then finds himself in a loop.
Yeah,
and he has to figure out how to win this, war. And it does show him learning stuff and messing up, and So I have seen it. I saw it in theaters, and I've seen it at least once since. So
sweet. Yeah. Okay. My man, you're really gonna, if you're not taking any of my top 6, you're really gonna make me make a hard decision at some point. Okay. For my second one, you have to get a Tom Cruise lawyer on the board. So I'm gonna take Tom Cruise as Lieutenant Daniel Kaffee in A Few Good Men.
Nice. That was on my list. That is a good one.
It's a good one, and I actually had never seen it. And this draft was an excuse for me to finally watch it. It's been on my list to watch for a long time. I just had never gotten around to it, and so thank you, Andrew and Minority Report for finally making me watch this movie. It's great. I mean, the penultimate court scene where acting across from Jack Nicholson, and he's holding his own against that character as, Kaffee, as this young lawyer, but he's also metatextually holding his own as this young actor against this like, brute force of an actor in Jack Nicholson.
Yeah.
So there's that going on too. Yeah, I loved this movie. I love all the like he has the quirk of like the baseball bat that he has to hold to think well, which I love. Like I think that's a great little like character thing that he does. Yeah, he's great in this movie. Love it. And I had to get a lawyer Cruise on
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. I was contemplating making that my second choice.
You should have.
Yeah, it's really good one. So I'm gonna go. This is gonna be controversial.
Ooh.
I'm gonna go with Top Gun Maverick.
I think that's the right choice.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. I feel better about that. I don't mean I don't enjoy the first Top Gun. I just mean personally, movie to movie. I realize the second one wouldn't exist without the first one. I'm not discounting that, and I understand how well loved the first one was, or the original was.
I'm Team Iceman, by the way, on the first Top Gun. Team Iceman.
Yeah.
Dude. The dude just wants to fly correctly and not put people's lives in danger. There's nothing wrong with that.
I see that, but he's Iceman. You can't.
Dude, I'm Team.
It's like,
give me Val Kilmer, dude. I'm Team Iceman.
But yeah, I don't know. This Maverick to me just has the thing that I think I like most about Cruise is that older but still capable fighting the good fight kind of it's like it's like he's capable and he's but the older Cruise, I don't know, I really enjoy that. For me more because it feels more almost like he's kind of himself looking at the first film. I know it's not that way, but like he's looking at the younger pilots and maybe seeing where he was. I don't know if I don't remember if it's really that introspective, but basically he's not the young, Maverick anymore. He's older, but he's still capable, and he proved it to himself. And so I think that's for me the better of the two. And definitely top tier for him. Yeah, such a good example of his skill.
Yeah. No, I mean, there's so I think the first Top Gun just as a movie is just okay. That's my hot take is like it's I don't know. I think it's
cool because of what it's about, but
there's some cool stuff, but there's also like the romance of it all is really like corny and just like not for me. I don't know. I think it's fine and fun enough where I know I'm gonna enjoy watching it if I watch it, but just as a whole, I'm like, it's fine. Top Gun Maverick, I think, is a good movie. It's like a solid like 3.5 stars, 7 out of 10. Like, just I know I'm gonna like it every time I watch it, and I would be happy to rewatch it. It's just like that kind of movie. Now, it's not like, oh, this is a masterpiece, 10 out of 10. It's just like a solid like 3.5 stars to me. But it is that degree of like that older Tom Cruise, like you're saying, kind of dealing with his station in life. Kind of like his Paul Newman era of, he's not the star anymore, but he's still got the gravitas and that star power and, acting off of some younger guys that kind of have a similar thing going. And you know what? This wasn't going to be my next pick. I was going to hold off on this because there's another performance I think I like maybe more. But I'm going to go ahead and I think that makes me a good segue because Tom Cruise did act beside Paul Newman in Martin Scorsese's movie The Color of Money. And so I'm going to pick Vincent from The Color of Money, Tom Cruise acting off of Paul Newman. I saw this movie maybe for the first time last year, I think. And well, by the time this comes out, 2 years ago, but I really loved this movie. It was so good. It's so fun. It's, if you don't know, it's kind of I haven't seen the Hustler, but there's an older movie in the 60s maybe called The Hustler with Paul Newman. He's kind of a like a billiards pool hustler.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in The Color of Money, he's the same character. He's older. He doesn't really play anymore. But Tom Cruise plays this character, Vincent, who's really good. And Paul Newman kind of takes him under his wing to like better his game, to teach him how to hustle, like to And so it's, again, I'm pulling out the meta textual thing, but the movie to me is just like this really cool, an actor kind of passing the baton to the older actor passing the baton to a younger actor, while in the movie, the character's passing the baton of, the pool hustling to this younger, version of himself that's maybe even better than he was, sort of thing. And I don't think Tom Cruise is a better actor than Paul Newman. I wouldn't want to imply that, but but it's just a really good movie that has that element added onto it. And Cruise's performance is just great. He's cocky and he wears a black t-shirt that just says his own name across it, Vincent. I've contemplated getting that made for like a Halloween costume, just wear a Vincent shirt. No one would get it, but I would be happy. But and then there's also this scene where he like defiantly goes and hustles where Paul Newman told him he didn't need to. He would ruin it. He would like ruin the hustle game if he did it. If he like showed out there, he goes back against the Newman character's will and runs the table while dancing and singing Werewolves of London, which is just a phenomenal scene. Like only Tom Cruise could pull that off. The Color of Money, Vincent. Now I need to go get me a Vincent t-shirt made.
Do it.
Yeah. I'm assuming that was not on your list.
No, it was not. I have not seen it.
Yeah. You should, because it's a really, really good, fun movie.
Just going to go watch your list after. I mean, I've seen A Few Good Men, but I will go watch. Definitely watch the ones I haven't seen from you.
Hello again. Do you know how you can really support the show for free in just a few minutes or less? That's right. Just leave a rating and review on Spotify and Apple, or wherever you listen that might allow for ratings and reviews. These really help the visibility of the podcast. In fact, just hit that pause button right now and drop the review right now. And then you can get back to the show. I'd greatly appreciate it. Okay. I trust that you went and left that rating and review now. Back to the show.
So this is kind of I'm going with this one because not my list is thinning out of ones that I really like, and so I want to leave my I don't know. Basically, I'm picking this one, and it's kind of maybe a dud of a movie. I don't think it did super good, but I'm gonna go with 2013 Oblivion.
Okay.
That's another one for me that
I haven't seen it.
Oh, really? Mm-hmm. Okay, well, yeah, I won't say anything That's a spoiler, but it's I don't think that the story is incredible. Like I don't remember. I don't feel like the story was what drove me to like liking it. That was definitely the atmosphere and the style. Like that, the style and the atmosphere in that movie are really good, top tier, and I really like his performance in that.
Yeah.
It's a very different. It's a different character than he plays in any of the Mission Impossible or Top Gun movies, because he's kind of just a loner doing his job for the situation he's in, and things get turned upside down, and he has to, and he has to care, and so it's also set against just incredible scenery. It really reminds me, and this might just be like a super random reference if you haven't played this, but the game Death Stranding is one of it, very atmospheric, environmental, and just beautiful. That's basically the only way it's the same. I mean, it's post-apocalyptic, and you're kind of a loner in a beautiful scenery place. So I would say that's probably the only way it connects. But those two just resonate similar for me. So that's my fourth pick.
Yeah, I haven't seen it, but I don't doubt that Cruise is good in it. So yeah. Okay, Oblivion. So you have one more pick. I have two more picks. Okay. I'm gonna probably just have to leave out a performance that might be, I don't know if better. It's definitely worth picking, but I like these other two movies and performances more. That's the problem. I have 6 that I really want, but I only have 5 slots. Okay, I'm gonna pick the movie that I was gonna pick last pick, but the segue for the Paul Newman Tom Cruise thing was too good to pass up on. And I'm gonna take Tom Cruise, which I'm just realizing this now. His character name in this movie is Vincent as well. Tom Cruise as Vincent in Michael Mann's movie Collateral from 2004.
Nice.
Acting across from Jamie Foxx. Have you seen this movie?
So I haven't, but I did see. I was looking at Tom Cruise movies, and I realized I saw Jamie Foxx, and I was like, that seems like a funny, good duo. What is it? So I watched a little bit about it. I haven't seen it yet, though. I haven't seen any spoilers.
It is not a funny movie.
But funny might have been the wrong. And just
fun, maybe?
Seeing them play off each other. Yeah.
So this is like, as far as I am aware of, this is the only film I can think of where he plays the antagonist. He plays this like cold, cool assassin. So Jamie Foxx's character is a cab driver. He happens to pick up Vincent, played by Tom Cruise, who has a briefcase, looks like a businessman. He pays Jamie. I keep saying Jamie Foxx. I can't remember his character's name is Max. He pays him to basically be his driver for the night, even though he's not supposed to do that as a taxi driver. He, working for the company he does, he's not supposed to just sit around and wait for one person all night. But he gives them like a bunch of money, a lot of money to do it. So he's like, okay, well, Vincent's first hit that he has to do happens to fall out of the window onto the top of the taxi that is waiting, that Jamie Foxx is in waiting for him. So he finds out that he's a hitman and doesn't want to drive for him, but now is being forced to keep driving for him by Vincent. And they have these conversations, like Vincent kind of like psychoanalyzes him at points and like pushes into his personal life like very coldly and cruelly and stuff. And it's just this. And Tom Cruise is like really good. Like I honestly like this might be. I know I just took it third just because, or I know I technically fourth. I wanted to take it third just because Jerry Maguire and Few Good Men are just like such iconic performances. But this might be like, you could argue this is like his best performance of his career. He's great in it, playing that cool, cold, just villain assassin.
And he usually does play like good guy. Yeah.
Yeah, this is really the only movie I can think of where he's the antagonist of the movie. And not just the antagonist, but just like cold and dark. And he has this like just dark philosophy about life. It's like totally unique in his filmography. And so I had to take it. Really good, entertaining movie. Definitely recommend. If you've never seen any of the movies on my list, this is probably maybe the one for the Tom Cruise performance specifically that I would say like this, put that on the top of your list if you want to see a good Tom Cruise performance.
Okay.
Just because it's so different, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
And Michael Mann is great. Dude makes good movies.
Yeah.
It's your last pick.
Yeah.
Hard decision.
I'm weighing. Well, here's the thing. I'm weighing how. Well, I can't think of a good word. I'm weighing how bad it is to put two Mission Impossible movies because I'm like, it kind of feels like a category of Cruise because like I feel like you could just go down the list. So that feels against the spirit of the rule to me. Now, if you listed one, that would be different because I already listed one. So I just feel like for myself to feel good about the list, probably shouldn't add two Mission Impossibles.
That's fair.
I can say what it would be
not against the rules, but
okay. Well, are we
talking letter of the law or spirit of the law?
Spirit of the law, spirit of the law. For the record, it would be Mission Impossible 3, which might be.
That would have been. I'm not taking a Mission Impossible movie, but that probably would have been my second choice. Honestly.
Yeah.
But yeah. We'll put it in honorable mentions.
Yeah. Honorable mention. And in that spirit, I think based off of the last grouping of ones that I've seen and what I want to go for, I'm gonna say Minority Report because I don't have I think his performance was great. I don't think none of my
it's a great performance. It really is.
None of my quibbles or gripes are about his performance. He did a great job. I think the dynamic that might feel unique to his filmography is specifically the Spielberg-ness of it, which is interesting because the way Hunter and I were talking about it, it's like it's a certain level of whimsy. Like it's even in a serious movie like this, there's this level of like I don't know how to describe it, and I don't mean that disrespectfully at all. It's just it is a level of whimsy. The way you kind of can know an actor, know a organized director's work, even if you don't know it otherwise. And so I'm gonna go with Minority Report.
No, I think it's deserved. There's gonna be a movie that gets left off this list that people are gonna be mad at us about, I'm sure. But yeah, Minority Report it's not totally your fault because it's my fault as well because I'm not taking it. But yeah, I think Minority Report is. I mean, it is. I think it's one of his best performances of movies I've seen. Like it would be in the top half of them for sure, if not a little above that. He's really good in it. He has this range of emotions that he has to go throughout the movie. Like, and like I said, he really sells it. Like I said last week on the episode on Minority Report, he really sells like that moment where he has to confront like if he's going to kill this guy or not,
Yeah.
Really, really, really good performance. But for my last pick, I'm going to pick his performance in this will be the first time, I guess, technically in Color of Money he's a co-lead, and he kind of is a co-lead in Collateral with Jamie Foxx, although if they were doing Oscars he would probably get the supporting nomination. But they're kind of, anyways, this is his first like pure supporting role probably. And probably my favorite movie of all the movies that have been listed, and that is that's his character Frank T.J. Mackey in Paul Thomas Anderson's 1999 movie Magnolia. Have you seen Magnolia?
No, I was thinking you were going a different direction. When you said supporting, I was thinking Rain Man, but
that's the movie that people are going to be mad at us about.
Yeah, that's the one. I've seen it.
I saw it
but
a long time ago, and I didn't have time to revisit
conflicted.
it.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it, and I liked his performance in it, but just I don't know. I feel like I have to revisit that movie to see how I feel about it.
I watched some scenes earlier, and it's like on YouTube. I just pulled up some scenes from it just to kind of see if it sparked anything, and I can definitely see why people love that movie and love that performance. And honestly, like if I had one more pick, it wouldn't be the next one, but it would be the one after that. It would probably be the one after that. Based off of kind of revisiting those clips. But it just doesn't compare to Frank T.J. Mackey in Magnolia.
I haven't seen Magnolia either. I haven't seen the majority of your list.
He plays... So Magnolia is basically like this... It's one huge long montage of all these characters. It's hard. It's a hard movie to explain. But it's kind of about how nothing is coincidence, and there's this kind of like, I don't know, force behind everything sort of thing, and nothing is coincidence, and everything is connected. And kind of like the defining line towards the end of the movie is like, what can we forgive? And so all these characters just have these different issues and problems and traumas and whatever. And it's a 3-hour movie. There's probably there's not really a lead character. So that's why he's a supporting character. There's nobody that's like the lead of the movie. They all have pretty equal times like dispersed throughout the movie. And it all culminates in this big moment that that's like wild and out of left field, and and that I will not ruin for people, because it's the best way to describe it is it is surprising. But Cruz's character is this. He basically is this guy that does seminars for men on how to seduce and pick up women. And he's like, it's a big performance, and he says some things that I'm not going to repeat as this character on this podcast. Definitely crude and just cold, and not in the same way as I was describing his character in Collateral, but just like emotionally shut off from the world that changes later in the movie, which is part of what makes it a great performance. You find out he's connected to another character that you've been following. And that plays out to like a very touching, moving performance that I, again, don't want to ruin, because this movie is an experience that is, I don't know. I love this movie. I think it's great. I could understand people that watch it and be like, "What is this?" But for me, I love it. But yeah, total douchebag of a character that has a lot more going on in his past and in his, emotions than meets the eye, I guess. But yeah, just the first thing you see of him is him on the TV, like yelling at men to, like, I don't know, get people to respect their private parts, for lack of a better way to put it, for not the least crude way I could possibly say it. But I don't know. It's a great performance. Yeah, I don't know what else to say about it. Magnolia, Frank T.J. Mackey, man, crazy.
Hello there, listener. Don't you ever want more for your life? Don't you ever dream of surpassing the status of just podcast listener? Well, I've got good news. If you head on over to establishingshotpod.com and click the send a voicemail button on the right side of your screen, you can be featured on the podcast. I'd love to hear from you, whether it's a comment in response to an episode you liked, an opinion of mine you disagreed with, or just a question for me. And if you're too shy to have your voice featured, you can always email me at establishingshotpod@gmail.com. Don't settle for just being a podcast listener. Reach for the stars and get featured on The Establishing Shot. Back to the show.
All right, before we read back our list and wrap up, did you have any honorable mentions? Obviously, like, we talked about MI3 and Rain Man. His performance in MI3 is great. The kind of the scene with Philip Seymour Hoffman where he has the gun to his fiance, or is she his wife at that point? Can't remember.
I don't recall actually that specific point. Yeah.
Great emotions going across his face for that. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, my asterisk, I don't say that asterisk.
Asterisk.
The caveat. I don't say that word often out loud ever. So that was a stumbling through the pronunciation of that. My point of note on Rain Man is I haven't seen it, and the specific thing I am like when I said I want to revisit it is because I just don't. I'm unsure on the portrayal of autism in that film.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Dustin
I don't know how I
Hoffman.
feel about it. Like I feel I saw it when I was younger, and I know a lot more now, and I don't think it's an explicitly harmful. At least I don't think that's the. It definitely is not one of the bad examples. But the reason I said I would want to revisit it before putting it on a list is I don't know how I feel about it.
Yeah,
as an adult.
Fair.
Yeah. So, but I think I remember liking Cruz's performance in that, but I didn't rewatch it. But I know that probably being out of our list would be surprising.
Yeah.
My only other honorable is another Mission Impossible. Why even mention it at this point?
Yeah.
Dead Reckoning.
Yeah.
It was really good in that as well.
Oh,
I mean, it's part one. We haven't seen part 2 yet.
It's probably my second favorite of the whole franchise.
Yeah.
Right behind Fallout, honestly.
Yeah, it'd be hard to pick. I know, I would pick it over 3. Just
I really like 3. I think 3 is underrated, but yeah.
3, I agree. I think it's underrated, but the
original, you got to throw that out there as an honorable mention for sure.
Yeah.
The only other one that we haven't mentioned that I really wanted to pick, but I just like the other 5 I picked. I like the movies more, but this is more of like a traditional. This is, if he were to have won the Oscar for any of his performances, it would have been this one, just because it's kind of a prototypical Oscar performance, and that is the 1989 movie Born on the 4th of July. I watched that. I've never seen it, so I watched that this past week to prepare for this, and it really is a great performance. He is like, I mean, he's a kid at the beginning that's enlisting to go to Vietnam, right? Like basically right out of high school, and then like by the end, like he's goes through PTSD, and it's like it's just a very like it's a very big performance, and he's doing a lot. And so I think maybe the subtlety of the ones I picked, maybe trumpet, like the more acting isn't necessarily better acting, but but in this case it is more acting, but it's also really well done. And I kind of feel bad for not picking it because it is arguably his best performance. But I only had 5 I could pick.
Yeah.
So yeah, I recommend the movie. It's a harrowing look at you know, the effects of war, because the actual part of the movie where it's in the war is pretty minimal. It's mostly like dealing with the repercussions of it in his life. I will say probably the product of its time, being in 1989, has maybe a bit too optimistic of an ending. But that's not its fault. It's just kind of like a product of its time. Like, it didn't know that we were going to turn around and send people to Iraq for no reason.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's not its fault that America sucks at getting involved in stuff that we don't belong in. But anyway.
Yep.
Yeah, that would be my only other one. So I'm just thinking about his filmography, ones that people maybe wonder about. The Firm, I've never seen The Firm. I only had time to watch one lawyer movie that I'd never seen, and I picked A Few Good Men because
A Few Good Men. Of course I don't have context for the other one, but I feel like A Few Good Men probably is the one.
Yeah. I think most would agree. One that I really wanted to see, just because it would have been another very different performance. And now that I think about it, he might be the antagonist in this one too. I'm not sure. Is Interview with the Vampire. He's with Brad Pitt in that one, and I'm not sure if he's the antagonist. I've just never seen it. I wanted to get around to it. I just didn't have time. And so I don't really know. Another one, the only other one that people will probably be like, how could they not have picked this movie? Would be Eyes Wide Shut. I've just never seen it.
Same. Never. That's like relatively older. Like I said, my
99.
oldest movie. Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my oldest that I've seen is A Few Good Men, probably.
Okay,
I'm pretty sure.
Well, A Few Good Men is 92.
Well, and then the original Top Gun is pretty early as well.
Yeah, so. Rain Man's 88. Top Gun is 86.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
that's older than I was thinking.
Yeah, so it's. We did need to put the original Top Gun in our honorable mentions too, for sure.
Yeah,
I mean, we mentioned it alongside Maverick, but just for it to officially be on the list. Risky Business. I probably should eventually see it. I just It's not high up on my list. I have seen the movie Legend. It's not very good. I think I mentioned that. Days of Thunder seems like an interesting movie. I'm kind of interested in seeing Tom Cruise in a NASCAR movie, I guess. But haven't ever seen that. Vanilla Sky, I've never seen.
Likewise.
So can't really speak to that. I mean, he has some other, like, people really love his cameo in Tropic Thunder. I've just never seen Tropic Thunder. So
same. Yeah, I haven't seen I guess a good bit of, and it's not a major role in that, right?
It's basically like a short, like a cameo, like a short cameo, but people love it. I don't know if a cameo is worth drafting in a draft like this, but
yeah,
maybe if it was good enough, maybe, I don't know. But yeah, I mean, I think we hit most of the good performances. Really, just like people will probably be most mad about Rain Man and Eyes Wide Shut being left off the list. And then people that have seen Born on the 4th of July would probably be like, oh, that should have been taken. But I don't know how many people have seen that movie. But it's a good movie. It's directed by Oliver Stone, who's Oscar nominated. So probably for Platoon, he was probably nominated. But yeah.
Yeah, I have seen Platoon, actually.
Yeah. So same director for Born on the 4th of July.
Okay. Yeah, that was the only. I think that's the only serious thing I've ever seen Charlie Sheen in. I mean, okay. To be fair, my sample is like pretty small.
Yeah,
but
sure.
I think of him as 2.5 Men, and that's basically Charlie Sheen. Pretty, And then Platoon is just like super serious, super dark.
Yeah.
So
I've never seen Platoon, but yeah. Okay, I'm gonna read back our lists. So Andrew ended up with Mission Impossible: Fallout, Edge of Tomorrow, Top Gun: Maverick, Oblivion, and Minority Report. And I ended up with Jerry Maguire, A Few Good Men, The Color of Money, Collateral, and Magnolia. And of course, it's the Tom Cruise performance in each of those, not the movie as a whole. So remember that when this goes up for a vote. And remember that as the voters. Vote for the best performances, not your favorite movie list, which people probably will do that anyway, but it's inevitable.
Yeah, and you said this is going up in February, right?
Yes.
Okay, well, also keep in mind, I'm turning 30 on February 21st, so if my birthday is around, maybe give me a sympathy. I'm kidding. That would be unethical.
Well, I can tell you when this will release. It will release on February 14th.
Okay.
So it's not your birthday, so you can't.
I won't be 30 yet.
Yeah, you can't claim birthday status.
Okay. Well.
Good try, Andrew.
Birthday month.
Good try.
Yeah.
All right. Well, the people will let us know who had the best list, and they'll probably let us know that we're idiots for not choosing Rain Man or the first Top Gun or whatever. But they're wrong. We're right. So they can go, I don't know, kick rocks or hang off an airplane.
Make your own podcast.
Hang off the side of an airplane, That's what Tom Cruise would do. Just go hang off the side of an airplane. Why not? But yeah, that's all we have for this week. Next week, we're going to be covering Catch Me If You Can, continuing our Steven Spielberg series. Looking forward to that. I will make sure to link Andrew's Letterboxd in the episode description, so you can go follow him there. But yeah, that's all we have for this week. That's all we have. I've been Eli Price for Andrew Fossier and Tom Cruise. You've been listening to The Establishing Shot. We will see you next time.
We were happy here. For a little while.
But look, I figure it this way. Better to be king for a night than schmuck for a lifetime.